Good morning, everybody. Happy Wednesday. It's hump day, October 7th, 8:30 a.m. So lots to talk about, right? Yesterday, of course, we had a pretty sharp sell-off after Trump himself had mentioned that there may not be any stimulus talks. And of course, the market did not like that. I've been saying over and over again, I think the market is trying to suss out exactly when these stimulus talks are going to be back on the table. And sometimes markets will just keep pressuring and selling off continuously until the market gets what the market wants, which is more stimulus, more free money, more money going into Wall Street. And for now, I think Trump kind of put that on the back burner. But again, he reversed course just later last night, earlier this morning, stating that some of that stimulus could be back on the table, with the $1,200 stimulus checks potentially going to people. Now, I don't necessarily know if that is exactly what the stock market is wanting or expecting, but in any case, you can see that overnight, the market clearly digested that pretty well. And, we're pretty much back up to 50% of the retracement from yesterday's move. So let's see, right? This key high to this key low right here that we have. See right there. So yeah, we're right there, just above 50%. Maybe we could head up a little bit higher to the 618 and then figure out what we want to do from there. Right. And then same thing goes with Bitcoin. Right. I think Bitcoin had a pretty sharp move down, a pretty aggressive sell-off, and then again we're now grinding back up. In Bitcoin's case right now, the one thing that I've been talking about over and over again is this big key SR level, guys. It's the 10,585 level. This dates back, as you can see right here, it goes back all the way to October 2019, maybe even a little bit further back here before we dropped off. So that is a very key level that we are literally hanging on by a thread. Right? We've hammered this level multiple times. First of all, we smashed right through it beginning of September, broke up through it middle of September, and then rolled over again below it later in September. Again, tried to break above, rolled over, break above. Now we're just literally hanging here, okay? When things like this happen, right, first of all, you're consolidating. This is your big triangle, okay? In these big triangles, it's typically a A, B, C, D, E pattern, right? So typically you have a big move down, and then you have an A, a B, a C, D, and E. And after that, usually these triangles are continuation patterns. So one could make the argument that from here, we should start rolling down because this is a continuation triangle of this move that we broke down from. So that means that we should be breaking down from here down. And if we measure that out, right? So for example, we take the measured move of, the high of this triangle. So let's just say from this part right here, this will be the A wave. And we say, this thing is going to break down, let's just say today, tomorrow. Well, then that measured move down takes us to about $9,200. This triangle's measured move is what I mean, okay? So that's kind of where we are. We're literally hanging on by a thread at $10,615. If we start to roll over, then I expect, a pretty swift downside move. The other way we can sort of measure that is if you look at my Twitter feed right here, there's a couple different people, especially Skew, that has been talking about realized volatility, okay? Meaning, the Bitcoin volatility nature from month to month. And if you go back all the way to January 2018, you can see Bitcoin realized volatility is on a 3-year low at 20% currently, okay? Generally, Bitcoin is not a quiet creature. That means that when it starts seeing tightening volatility, it is looking for more expansion, okay? Now that expansion again, right, we have this continuation triangle potentially ready to break down, but again, it could also be that we put in, a massive green candle too, which is maybe, $500 to $1,000 candle, right? But personally, I think the way this structure is looking, the way that we're under this pivot right now, the way that we've hammered this 10,585 level numerous times tells me that I think we're ready to roll over. Okay, and I think we're ready to roll over, not with another small candle. I think this realized volatility is basically telling you that a big move is coming. Expansion is coming because Bitcoin is not a quiet creature. It does not have suppressed volatility for too long. Okay, and that kind of goes along with what's happening in the stock market. You've seen very volatile movements thus far, right? I've been saying to my Advantage members for the past several weeks, from here down, expect as we go into the election season for things to be volatile, for markets to be a bit more erratic, for the news flow to be very, very hard to predict, very spontaneous. And the news flow, the election time, all this stuff comes together and just gives you massive, massive volatile movements. Upside, downside, both sides, it doesn't matter. Okay, so it's very hard to scalp these markets. And it's also very hard to grasp a proper direction on the market. So in which case, what I've basically stated to my Advantage members is that this is all you need to keep an eye on. Okay, it's very simple. We're between the 50 moving average, the 128 moving average. All right, the way I see it is, first step, you get above the 50 moving average, right? And if you start closing above it with high volume, chances are you're at least getting to this red zone, which is around 11.1, 11.2. If you break above that again with high volume, chances are you're at least heading towards 12,000. Okay, this is one of those times in markets where you have to play it one level at a time. You're just not going to know, excuse me, you're just not going to know which direction we're going to break into. That's just a fact. So, excuse me. So whichever direction that you pick, you think the market is going to break, up or down, just know that you could very well be wrong, right? 50% chances are saying that you're right or you're wrong. But, if you wait for confirmations above 50 moving average, below 128 moving average, which is this purple, you will then get a better trade setup. And the Advantage community, we've been short for several weeks now, around 10.7. That's our average. So far we're doing okay. Haven't really quite done anything with that particular trade. But we've also been able to trade some key altcoins that have been doing decently well, and some other trades that have not been going so well either. But the Bitcoin short hedge, our short position, has been keeping us afloat, meaning, just in case we break to the downside, we can make up some of the lost money in the altcoins with our Bitcoin short gaining money. If the market breaks up, our altcoins more than likely will probably start to appreciate, and then we start making more money with altcoins, and then we can start cutting out this Bitcoin short trick. Okay, but if you're looking at the market right now and you think that you want to bet in one direction or another, chances are you probably shouldn't. Okay, chances are you're probably going to be wrong, whichever direction you bet. But if you want to have a hedge as a protection against your portfolio like we have, I think it's the best hedge to have a short position in Bitcoin. That's really it. If we're comparing what's happening in the stock market to what could potentially happen in Bitcoin, well, maybe you want to wait for another day, right? Maybe you want to wait for the conversation that the Justice Department, you could see they're going to hold a press conference today. It's supposedly a matter of national security at 11 a.m. Who knows what that could do for the market, right? So even around that time, I expect more volatility. So you can see, it's just going to be volatility after volatility pretty much for the rest of the week. Okay, on the 15-minute chart, what we have right now is a movement right under the daily pivot. Okay, so the daily pivot is around 10,630. And again, you could see we're kind of maybe double topping here. One could make the argument that, this is your first top, this is your second top. If we start rolling over again, maybe expect these lows to be hit, which is around 10,540. So that's a potential scalp you could take. But again, I've been vehemently against scalps lately because the volatility is just, it's just really hard to get a hold of to understand, which direction you should be scalping, all right? And if you scalp the wrong side, you can get stopped out real quick. Okay, so just be careful on that. NFTs are one segment of tokens that I've been talking about that this segment is going to probably be the next quote unquote alt season, right? And again, I'm not saying that the alt season is definitely happening or it's already started or anything as such. I think as long as Bitcoin stays in this range right here, if we could stay in this range, the higher chances that NFT tokens are probably next up to the plate, and they're going to do relatively well. Probably more so better than DeFi tokens, in my opinion. Because as you can see across the board, DeFi tokens are down anywhere between 40, 50, 60, 70% in some cases 90%. Right? So I think that DeFi bubble has quote unquote popped or is still unwinding. And I think some of that money flow could likely end up back into the NFT tokens, maybe even some traditional altcoins like Ethereum, like we saw, EOS make a big move yesterday, right? You can see a big candle, but again, most of that candle pretty much got sold off, right? So, if there's no follow through, well, then this is really just a short squeeze. And if it's a short squeeze with no follow through, that's even worse because that means it's going to roll over further. Okay. So if we're looking for, let's just say Bitcoin to roll over, holy crap. If EOS rolls over, I mean, it's probably headed way the heck down here. At least the S1, probably the S2. So that's another short position that you can look into because you now have a pretty decent defined risk, right? You could literally enter a short here. Your stop could be up here. And then your target profits could be S1, S2, maybe even lower if you believe it's going to go lower, right? Same thing happened with Bcash and then XRP, I think, right? They all just had a massive spike up and then start to roll over. So that kind of tells me, honestly, that if we have a short squeeze with no fall through to the upside, and again, I don't know if it's going to fall through like tomorrow or the day after, but so far it ain't looking good. I mean, 50 to 60% of this candle is just all wick. That means it's just all sellers. And then now we're, again, getting a bearish candle. So this tells me that at least for now, this doesn't look good for EOS. It means we're probably going to roll back over. So this is another short position, right? Let me see here. What else do we want to talk about? We again have our indicator only for Advantage members. You can check it out right here in the alpha indicator section. We've posted a ton of charts, right? Things that we're seeing as per these indicators. And so far, all we're seeing, at least what I'm seeing in the market, is this indicator that we're looking at is the trend maker. We've rejected the moving average ribbon right here, the red ribbon once, twice. And right now, as you can see, we're not even anywhere close to the red ribbon now. And again, we've started to drop down. So the way you look at this particular indicator is if you've hit the red ribbon multiple times, you're looking for the next support of the ribbon, which is this green ribbon. That's currently around 10,275. Okay. There's another indicator that we sort of play with is this one right here. And this is an Ichimoku cloud-based indicator. Okay. The best way, again, to play this indicator the same way, right? You can see price is not able to stay above this thin cloud, as you can see. So if it's not able to stay above that cloud, we should be getting to the next, line of support, which is this blue line. Again, that's around 10,285, 10,275, just as the other indicator that it showed you. Okay. So all things are kind of telling us that lots of uncertainty in the market, but in my opinion, I think more signals are telling us that we're probably going to roll over. But again, rolling over doesn't necessarily mean that we have to head straight down. Because we have, other forms of support, right around here, right? For example, if we go on the hourly time frame here, we have the S1 right here. Okay, we have the other two key support areas, 10,250, 10,300. From this support and this support. So if we break down, it's quite possible that, we just come down to the S1 or maybe this area right here. But if we really aggressively start to sell off, then you best be sure that, you know, we're putting in probably a big candle, $500,000-$600,000 candle to the downside. And it's happened before. So it's quite likely that it may happen, you know, today of all days, because everything is kind of coming to a culmination point of no stimulus, you know, stock market kind of starting to roll over. This whole thing about Justice Department holding a meeting for national security purposes, Bitcoin realized volatility coming to a very key low, you know, looking for more expansion. So you can see, you know, the news flow is kind of indicating, all right, big things are coming. I think we're just not sure, not truly confident that we have to break to the downside. Okay. Let me check out one more thing. I want to check out Engine Coin because that is one of the other NFT tokens right here that I've been following for a little while. So here's Engine. Okay, so you can see again, this is this tightening falling wedge, right? If this thing starts to break out, let's just say, you know, even above this area, like 1500, 1600, I think Engine Coin is going to be one of those big movers to the upside. But again, for now, it's literally been consolidating since like May or June. So I don't know, it could just keep bleeding slowly down. But I do think that whenever we start seeing things like Engine Coin break out, things like, you know, my other favorite NFT token, which is Theta right here, right? And I've traded this multiple times, made a couple decent moves out of it. If we start, let me see, let me delete this stuff because this is old stuff. If we start looking at, you know, NFT tokens, well, I think Theta, Engine Coin, Mana, these are some of the best token setups that I particularly have found. And if we start breaking to the upside and then you see NFT tokens starting to push up, well, then that means Bitcoin more than likely is not bottomed. That means Bitcoin is not going to sell off, because the way I see the market is, you know, these altcoins are leading indicators, if you will, of how risk on Bitcoin and crypto is going to be. So if altcoins are actually moving up, well, then that tells me that, you know, Bitcoin is likely not going to break down. In fact, Bitcoin's probably going to, you know, either hold its levels or even push up. Okay, because altcoins don't just spontaneously move up, especially in you know, large batches, if the overall market is not feeling more risk on, meaning money flows are not going into altcoins thinking we're going to have an alt season and, you know, Bitcoin is going to go up. That's the general thought process of when you start seeing altcoins push up as a wide basket. That means the overall market is generally risk on, generally more bullish. Okay, for now, I think, again, we're in uncertain times. I think Theta is clearly showing you a double top pattern right here. Engine Coin, like I just showed you earlier, not the best looking structure, but nonetheless, it's a falling wedge. If it breaks down from the falling wedge, well, then it breaks down. But if it breaks up from the falling wedge, it has huge upside potential. Same thing with Theta, right? If it breaks right through this key high around 80 cents or so, I think it's going to push up much higher, which would indicate that Bitcoin is going to push up higher. All right. So yeah, guys, again, hit the thumbs up if you enjoy our content. We have all the great stuff for Advantage members in this area right here. All these lock channels that you see are all for Advantage members. We make 2 videos a day for Advantage members. So if y'all want to join this awesome community of these gentlemen right here, who you can see are posting great stuff all through the day, all through the night, all kinds of analysis, you know, come join our Advantage membership. Let me see. So this is one of the questions that our Advantage member Marvin had, so I'm going to answer that right now. So again, as I stated, right, there's a couple different ways to look at this triangle that we're creating. It's tightening volatility. We already know that, right? In my opinion, the best way to play this is probably a short. Okay, that's honestly, but again, make sure your short has a stop at least above this level or above this level. My stop is way the heck up here around 12,000 because I can manually cut it if I need to. But if you want to play this triangle, that's kind of what you're going to have to do, right? Or the other way you can say is wait for a candle to close below this 128 moving average, which is that purple, because if that happens, chances are you can at least play from there down to this green level. And if this green level breaks, you can at least play down to this $91, $9,200 area. Okay. If we start breaking above this key high or this key high, like I said, you know, chances are we're at least heading towards 11.1, 11.2. All right. But yeah, I personally think that the best way to play this is probably you know, shorting this thing. Okay. That's it, guys. Yeah, thank you so much for watching, and hope y'all hit the thumbs up, join our Advantage community. Till then, cheers.